Are you just tired because you're in prime jet lag mode, or did you have like a wild
Yeah,
night out in Stockholm, or like what's the deal?
I'm just jet lagged. I had stayed up until like 2 a.m. last night, and whenever I travel, I always wake up at like the first sign of light because no room is like completely blacked out. So the first sign of light coming through into my room, my body's just like, it's time to get up now. I
Are
don't
you
know. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm in a foreign place, so my body's already on edge or something. But it's like my body's like trying to take me back to like caveman days. Oh, the sun's coming out, light. It's wake the fuck up, bitch. But when I'm at home, it's fucking like I'll sleep till 10 a.m. No problem. Give me my 8 hours.
do you not travel with like a face mask or earplugs?
I can't do face masks. Bothers me to have something on my face.
Well, that's all I got. That's all the advice I got for you. I also
Thanks.
I cannot sleep with a face mask either. I think that it's something that you have to get used to. At least that's what I've been told. But the process of getting used to one has not been pleasant for me. So
Well,
I can do
I mean,
earplugs though.
I tried to force that shit at Omega League. Um, I had like 30 days of wearing a face mask to sleep because um, our schedules for these things are always late. So for example, for this one, it's going to be, I think the standard match timings is 3 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m. So it just means we're going to be trending late schedule, right?
Yeah,
Same
your
thing
your
with Omega
workday is
League.
just shifted from a normal person's to
Yeah.
later. So why get up at 8 in the
And
morning?
at Omega League, I was like a fucking eastern facing window, giant fucking ceiling to floor window with no shades or anything. And they couldn't get me anything for it. So I had the brightest light. This is also like September, right? When Omega League. So it was like the fucking brightest light starting at like 7 a.m. So I wore a face mask, but I still did not sleep very well.
It looks like you got a decent setup. I'm stoked that you're alive and in Sweden. As soon as I heard,
Yeah.
or as soon as I saw BSJ's tweet that he was denied entry, the first thing I did was like look at your Twitter, message Ellie, be like, "Hey, is Austin okay?"
Let me just say, it was I knew when I left, I figured it was about a 50-50 chance that I would not make it into Sweden. About 50-50 chance. I think I did more research than most people on this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I might have done more research than the tournament organizer. So I don't know. I looked at it. I know what exemption. Like I did the research and I had to ask them. I was like, so how are we getting? You trying to get us in through this line right here? And sure enough, that's what we were trying to get through was the sports people who are integral to a sporting thing. So that can include the athletes as well as the commentators. The thing is the biggest determining factor in whether or not you get in is whether or not the border agent views esports as a sport.
That's so wild. So if you get someone who's like a giant Get Right and Forest fan, and they're like, "Yeah, man, I fucking love Counter Strike,
Yeah.
Dota, fuck yeah, yeah, cool, dude, I love you, Cap, dude, say hi
Yeah.
to I don't know someone for me to say hi to Ice Frog," versus someone who's like, "You are not playing soccer."
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, for people who don't know, that is literally how getting into countries, whether it's applying for a visa or getting through the border, works. It is very much like this was a very specific instance, but like very often it's entirely up to the mood of the person that you are meeting, that you are talking to. Those guys have a lot of agency in determining who gets in and who doesn't. And so a lot of these times, these things, things that are borderline like this, are, entirely up to who you meet.
I haven't done a ton of international travel. I did like a little Western Europe jaunt pre-COVID last year. I've been to Shanghai once before, and I've never had the most trouble that I've ever had crossing a border was actually driving from Seattle to Vancouver for TI8, and sitting at the border. It was so slow that day, and I think we were waiting in line for almost 2 hours. And the Border Patrol person was like, giving us way more of an interview than I thought he was going to in the car. And, he asked, he's like, so, Trump, huh? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty wild out here. Sorry you have to deal with that. And he's like, you're not just trying to, come up here to get rid of that, are you? Or, get away from that. And I'm like, no, unfortunately, I got to go back. But is that like a trick question? He looks at me and he's like, okay, you're okay.
I think, I have also had issues with that area as well, the Seattle to Vancouver area. I don't know why, but they are we're way more strict. I feel like I can't remember if it was getting into Canada that was more strict. I think it was. Whereas vice versa, it was no problem. My theory is that they frequently run drugs through that area. If I had to guess,
that would make sense. I also had when I went. God, this is probably 2012, maybe. I flew from Orlando up to Toronto for NASL season maybe 3 StarCraft finals and the first World Smite final. Fun fact.
Wow.
And, yeah. And I was technically I was working. I got paid to go help at the event. And so when 18-year-old me was just like, oh, I'll just check I'm traveling for work on my visa. I'm getting a free hotel. I learned that's not what you do most of the time very quickly. When they're like, well, who's your employer? Can we call them? Can we talk to them? Are you really working? Why are you coming over? Why are you so young? What are you doing? What is esports? And I'm like, I'm just coming to take some pictures. I'm a child. Why are you detaining me? And that's when I learned that more often than not, you just say that you're visiting, and that's what you do.
Yes, it is a not so hidden fact among the esports world that we are always vacationing. We just really love traveling abroad, And no, what you say is what I always say is I'm attending a convention, which is that nice line between truth and lie.
It's a white line, right?
It just fucking, you saddle that line all the way through. I am attending a convention. Man. I may or may not be getting paid for my attendance. Yeah, it's not an esports thing. People always talk about oh man, the esports so unprofessional about that. You know how many people are going to business conferences in the regular business world? People do that shit all the time. It's near constant. So it's just an accepted way of the world. But for this COVID thing specifically, the reason this was borderline, I feel, was that there was just not enough preparation done. I feel like we probably needed to have some sort of official invitation from the government of Sweden. Something like that in order to ensure entry and not just kind of rolling the dice and trying to get in. And if that doesn't work, go again in 2 weeks or something. We needed something like that. And I'm setting all this up, making it look like I'm flaming the tournament organizers, but I'm actually not quite doing that because. I just don't think there was enough time. everyone looks at the DPC leagues. If you ever see a trend, it's probably because there's a reason. If every single tournament organizer outside of Perfect World, which is a very unique situation, that one, but if every other tournament organizer, why are they so disorganized? Why are they announcing things so late? Why is this like? I think very likely. Why is this show like not very good? Like, are they literally just putting fucking webcams in a box and that's the production of the tournament? I have no inside information as to what the other tournament organizers are doing for their broadcasts, but like, I'm gonna make some guesses here that some of them are not going to be so stellar, and some of them are going to be relatively plain Jane. And it's because like none of this was planned very well. And there was not a whole lot of time given to tournament organizers to figure this shit out. So I think ESL and DreamHack dropped the ball because they're apparently having some sort of merger. So that is just a clusterfuck and a half. But it's like it ultimately lies on Valve needed to be able to get this in motion much earlier.
Yeah, it doesn't take long from a production standpoint to say, okay, I can fly people out here, I can rent some cameras, I can use my desk, I can have a green screen, I can have like a broadcast setup. Any competent tournament organizer can set that up in, a week or two with some crunch, maybe sooner if they have an existing studio they can use. But that doesn't make things necessarily look good, right? It takes time to develop a graphics package, to have people actually produce shows so that you're making content that's not just live content. It takes time to do set decoration if you're someone like we play. It takes time to, write out a narrative or do so many things that, we like. They don't just plan for TI 3 weeks before TI, right? Like, they're working on that show for sometimes a year. And that's what makes broadcasts good. It's like a lot of time and preparation. So I think that I'm with you in that I wouldn't be surprised if we see this rollout of DPC and it just kind of looks, what do you say, plain Jane? Easy?
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be the fault of ESL or DreamHack if they really, you can only do so much if you're told 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks ahead of time. Like, hey, events coming.
Yeah, like 5 weeks ago was heading into Christmas, It's like, yeah, you've got a bunch of people taking time off work and stuff at that point in time. So it's just like, I know a month ago, there were tournament organizers not sure if they were doing a studio broadcast or remote. A month ago. Like a month ago, they're arranging with the talent, like, hey, we're going to have you guys come into here. We're still trying to figure this out. And then like a couple days later, they go back to them. It looks like we can't actually do that. We're going to be doing a remote broadcast. I know some tournament organizers were asking Valve if they could do remote broadcasts. They actually didn't know. It's like, I don't know, man. It's disappointing. And I know this DPC is disappointing to a lot of people. I know the players are pretty butthurt about it.
Yeah, there's quite a few that are like, but I want to play video games, which feels up. I think there's probably a handful of people who legitimately have gripes and are on the outside.
Yeah, I think when the publisher stepping in and establishing your esports is always supposed to be, things will get. There will be more opportunities, not less. That's what people want to be able to believe. And I think more often than not in esports, it has proven that way because publishers just have a lot more money. So they have a lot more money in their marketing budgets to be able to, because that's at that point it comes down to, right? Is that for a developer, they reach into their marketing budget to be able to do these esports things. Whereas for tournament organizers, that's like, they have to go out to these sponsors and shit. Please give me money.
Hello, Mr. Mercedes. Is this John Mercedes? Do you have any money for one ESL, please?
Yeah, these guys are like cold calling companies, randomly sending out emails and shit to anybody that they know. Like, hey, we're doing this esports broadcast. Here's the numbers. Love to get you involved if you want to give us money. Give me money.
Speaking of
so
companies.
Yeah, I mean, just real quickly, this is like, so players look at it and they're like, wait, I'm gonna be making a lot less money for this DPC than I did during the Corona time of just last year when third parties were doing it. I'm going to be making a lot less money. And, like some of them I feel sympathetic for, some of them I don't. Obviously,
Noto can only buy a second mansion with only 12 rooms. What the fuck?
Yeah, if we're talking about like going from making millions to hundreds of thousands, I am like, I've got bigger problems. I think there are bigger problems in the Dota 2 ecosystem to focus on. And I mean, one of those things that DPC is supposed to help out is with the tier 2 and tier 3 scene. So that is still the great hope, is that this will, between that and the, I believe they've announced this, right? That they're going to be doing some sort of team, packages in game where you can buy stuff to support your teams. I'm pretty sure they have.
Have they?
Somebody said that.
Have they? I'm not talking about this or confirming or denying anything.
I'm like 90% certain that this was talked about.
I'll give you some thinking music. Do 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 do. Caps browsing.
Let's see. Top Reddit posts of this month. Scroll through the memes.
To figure out if there is something that he's leaking, but I don't really know, and I'm not gonna edit this part out. I'm just gonna wait for the answer. Yeah.
There's too much memes here in my way.
Going slow.
Anyway, I'm like, I'm sleepy and jet lagged, but I'm like 95% certain that was already talked about publicly.
Cap, I've never heard about that.
All right. Well, if I'm leaking it, I'm leaking it. So be it. Nobody's gonna post this podcast on Reddit anyway.
We have a rule.
Anyway.
They're not allowed to.
Anyway, so the DPC and some sort of thing to be able to help teams monetize in game is, I think that combination could do a lot, because I think that would make sponsors look at Dota 2 again, or team owners look at Dota 2 again, because so many team owners just do not think that being in Dota is a profitable affair. So hopefully that changes their mind. The regular broadcasts where you can actually approach your sponsors and tell them, like, this is a defined amount of broadcast time that we're going to be getting. We're on the official, we're on the official coverage of the DPC. We've got a match every week. So that's like 3 hours of airtime we got going on right there. We've got ways to be able to monetize inside the game, put our sponsors there.
I anticipate it's going to get better from a team perspective, and we might see some teams get back in because there's provable numbers, and there's potential proven revenue from it. I think that from the player side and the viewer side and even the talent side, everything basically but the team side, I imagine it's probably going to be a bumpy season 1 in typical Valve fashion, where it'll be a little bit of a bumpy season 1, and then they're going to collect all this data of, here's the top 10 things people complained about. Let's fix 6 of them, and then season 2 will have 6 things better, and maybe 4 to 5 things wrong, but I think that, if we learned anything about how Valve handles some of this stuff, it's that it feels iterative often. And that there's a product that's getting to market. It's probably not perfect. It's probably not as polished as it could be. It's very easy to criticize, but it gets better over time the more people criticize it. So,
yeah.
I'm interested to see what those big pain points are going to be. Like, I'm interested in 2 months from now. What are people really complaining about DPC? Is it the broadcast? Is it the lack of teams? Is it the players who have the biggest problem? Is it Yeah, I'm interested to see what the pain points are. I'm excited to just be able to casually follow what for me will probably just be EU Dota.
Yeah, I think that's where most people's heads lie, is that they are going to check out Europe. Some more hardcore Western fans will check out CIS, especially the bigger matches that are going on, and then that same viewership will usually jump over to NA if there's some like EG game going on against one of the better teams. You know,
What's
even
EG's
if it's
roster?
just to be
Do
able
we
to
know?
write in chat NA Omega Lol, that those same viewers will jump over just to say that.
Do we know? Do
Yeah.
we know what roster EG's playing this DPC with?
Yeah, they're playing with Ice 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 now as their offlaner. And somebody else. I don't remember. My
coffee.
big takeaway was Ice 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 offlane, because I've always, like, as an offlaner, I always watch Ice Ice Ice. If I want to try new things or learn, like, that guy has always been, I think, ahead of the curve when it comes to offlane play. Even if he hasn't ever been like single-handedly the best offlaner in my view, I'm not sure. I'm sure there have been like windows of time where he was, but I've never like consistently thought of him like that. But he's kind of always been in my top 5, and I think he's always been having interesting takes, or I see him do, like, he's one of the first people I see do certain mechanical or strategic plays that are like newer for offlaners and stuff. So he's somebody I always learn from.
As you're talking, I spilled my drink, and I'm trying to make sure that doesn't get on my keyboard.
So oh no!
Here, I can just.
That's the worst.
Yeah, I'm just really.
Is it a sparkling water, or is it an actual drink with sugar and stickiness?
It's a seltzer, so there's some stickiness going on here. Oh, I might have to. I'm just gonna prop my keyboard up for the rest of this recording. I'm just gonna do one of these, so it tries to have as minimal interaction as possible. Okay, this is kind of what I'm doing this right now. This is just
wonderful.
My keyboard's just there's a ruler on the back. That's kind of fun.
Oh, God. That's a ruler?
Yeah, like the keyboard kickstand is a detachable ruler. So I've never used this for ruler purposes.
Why? What is that for?
It is just the kickstand, right? I have a DOS keyboard, which I'm a big.
I guess it's just might as well. Was that the idea?
Yeah, I think it's a might as well thing.
With measurements on it.
I think it fits under might as well. Man, that really fucking derailed me. I was just about to. Man, I really hope that my keyboard's okay.
Don't worry, I've got more things I want to talk about. You talked about the DPC being probably not the best for players, especially tier 1 players, but it's probably good for tier 3 players. I don't know if it's going to be good for tournament organizers. I legitimately have no clue. I have no inside information on that, other than the fact that things were not very well prepared for this iteration. But I don't know financially how they're going to be
What's
doing.
What's their ROI? Like what are the TOs really making money off of? I guess just selling sponsorships against the broadcast, knowing that they have the rights to it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's so I think a lot of that is going to come down to their sales team and their viewership numbers. So again, Europe will probably do well. If I had to guess, SA's viewership is going to be terrible, but I know like Dota Pit is probably going to be putting pretty minimal into that, as would any tournament organizer who's handling SA. Like, legitimately, most tournament organizers will just say no to doing SA. That's how bad the viewership is. And also, like, the people that you're reaching with that broadcast are not the audience that your sponsors are trying to sell to either.
Do we know why there isn't like a strong Brazilian viewership for like those live games? Because like
I
Brazilian
mean, I
Counter
think they
Strike
do
has
okay.
huge viewership for Brazilian Counter Strike in
Yeah.
Brazil, but it seems like there are a lot of people in South America who play Dota. They feels like there's like a kind of a semi-competitive tier 2 scene with a lot of fresh faces and names, right? So why do we know why the viewership's just not there?
I think the viewership is okay, but specifically in those languages, I don't think it has quite the crossover appeal to the English broadcast. Maybe that's just because the Brazilian teams haven't had that kind of international success. The Peruvian teams have, but like the best times, the best times for Brazil specifically was Pain Gaming with Misery on it. Um, with Tavo and King RD and all that. So like that was probably the best time for Brazil, but they got like what, third at ESL One Birmingham. I don't recall them doing very well at TI.
No.
So it's like I don't think you've just had that kind of like real mainstream. Whereas what was their name? Fallen's team when they won the major. I've gone through
What?
so many Brazilian names.
Luminosity?
Not made in Brazil. They weren't made in Brazil. They weren't
SK.
SG. They were SK. Yeah, I mean they had like that kind of big international success, and obviously there's like you've got Fallen who has international appeal as well
Twitter
there.
followers.
So, yeah, you just don't have that. You don't have that front man nor the team to have that kind of success and acclaim to back it up. So yeah, I think those are probably all the reasons why. But I actually I saw this is a conversation I wanted to kind of talk about because I honestly don't know, but I always thought the DPC was going to be good for talent. I still think it's going to be good for talent.
It's good for all the Dimitris in South America. Did you see that meme?
No.
Oh.
What?
I think it was the South America broadcast. Their Russian talent pool, like 7 of the people working the broadcast are named Dimitri.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I know KBBQ, who frequently is, I think, one of the better voices to talk about problems in the esports scene. I know he was talking about more coverage and talent opportunities come from incentives for TOs to compete. Obviously, no one can compete with the DPC. So once that is secured, TOs probably just need to cut costs from there. Top tier talent may gain from this. Everyone else is the race to a bomb. And I actually kind of disagree with that. I usually agree with Jack's takes. But I think that's probably just because Jack hasn't really been in the broadcast scene for a while since he's been so busy with team ownership stuff. But I actually think while this may specifically be bad for the completely fresh up and coming caster, I think this will still be good for it's going to be good for tier 1 talent. It'll still be good for I think most almost all tier 2 talent. There may be like 1 or 2 people that are snubbed. And I think the whole race to the bottom thing is, I mean, I talked about this before, but like that is entirely up to the talent to be able to strengthen their position on that, because you cannot have a race to the bottom in a talent industry where there is not a horde of fresh up and comers. Talent industries are rife with fucking undercutting, that's because talent industries typically, we're talking like when I say talent industries, we're talking about any industry where there is it's kind of like the people look at it as like dream jobs, so like I want to be an actor, like there's a bunch of 18 19-year-olds who are all trying to get on the Disney show, and shit like that. So there's like tons and tons of people who are trying to get into that industry and therefore are willing to do voice acting. Obviously, another good example of that. And casting is a talent,
or like
right?
Broadway or anything like you say that probably involves some level of exposure.
Yeah, like music industries or talent industries, generally speaking, right? And people are just trying to get there in, even if it's something like trying to be in an orchestra, which I only know very little about. But yeah, so but like I think the thing with Dota casting is that there is not this. I don't think there's these fresh faced 17, 18, 19-year-olds who are like, I want to be a Dota caster because we're an aging esports. So I think more of this DPC will actually be a payout for more for the people who have stuck with it for so long and at a chance to be able to break through. I think that what this DPC does is that there are so many talent jobs that you have to have all at one time that it broadens the number. Because it's not like the tier three or when third parties were doing it, like it was really good for up and coming talent because they only have to hire 8 guys for an event, and there's not a whole lot of overlapping events. So, it's they're not really given a whole lot of extra opportunities to tier 2 or tier 3 talent. You just hire what's already been established. It's safe. It's easy. You've already worked with them. You don't need to take any risks. Unless those tier 1 talent are charging such an exorbitant amount of money that it's not worth it. But
It seems like it might have been lighter on analysts and host roles.
yeah, that is the biggest reason that it's not a slam dunk for talent is because we don't have panels that are required, which I believe originally in the DPC that was supposed to happen was that you had to that originally DPC they actually wrote that there was going to be that everyone had to have a studio show. Obviously, that's a little awkward to enforce during Corona.
Yeah.
And
Hey, get
and I
together
believe
right now.
yeah, and then like with a studio show, I believe they like pretty much had to have a panel. They had to have a host and some sort of panelists or analysts. I think there was talks that maybe you could do remote for casters, which again would just be even better because that means they don't have to pay. They don't have to make the decision to fly out somebody who they've never worked with before. They could just as easily hire them for a week of remote casting, and you're going to get better rates for those. So I think the DPC is still really good for talent. It's just for the people who are not going to make it into this first DPC, it's going to feel terrible because there's no other events going on. So
I
if you
don't.
did not make it into one of the DPC leagues, then you're just going to be like, what do I do for 2 months?
But I was racking my brain at who those people even are, and like I can think of a couple. Like I don't think Cinderen's anywhere. I don't even know if he wants.
Yeah,
to be doing
that's by choice. Yeah, Cinderin will always be hired if he wants to be hired, I think.
Similarly, like I guess Nahaz isn't anywhere, but I mean he's also probably using his adult job.
Yeah.
That feels less bad. I mean, I'm homies with Tsunami who doesn't have a gig.
Yeah. Tsunami is one. T Governor is another one.
Yep.
And then T Panda was another name that I was surprised was not picked up to be play-by-play anywhere. And that is going to suck for those people. I'm not gonna mince words. I think that just is gonna blow. It's gonna be terrible for them. It's gonna feel like the end of the world. That being said, I think if you look at a bigger picture, the overall money that's going into just isolate the tier 1 talent and put them aside, just the total amount of money that's going into the tier 2 scene of talent, I think it's still a win.
Oh yeah.
So while it's because it's long, consistent work, a lot of it at more premium rates than you were going to get before. You're not getting paid $15 a game for fucking DPC broadcast. No matter how much a tournament organizer lowballs you, and no matter how quickly people snap up whatever money is offered to them, it's not going to translate into $15 a game, which is what the kind of standard 15, 20, maybe you can get like 30 for bigger series, maybe even upwards of like 50 or 75 for like a really big really big games. But for the most part, I think from what I still understand is like $15-$20 a game, which is not great. So
It's not even minimum wage in some places.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. So I don't know. I think like people are being pretty doom and gloom about the DPC, and I understand why, because it's easy to find a lot of problems with it. Don't think this was very well prepared. And that's probably just a number of things, holidays, Corona, et cetera, et cetera. But
I would be shocked, and I guess this goes to my earlier point, if people still have as many complaints about season 2. I feel like I'm willing to say season 1, it's the first time. There's gonna be some hiccups. There's a global pandemic. Cool. Season 2, be better. 2022, great. That's the timeline I'm thinking
I want to
of.
straddle that line of like criticism and like things will get better. And I just want to give a counterpoint. It's been a year. It's been a year of Corona being a real thing in the world. And I feel like we probably could have used the last 6 months better. But
oh, you mean when we could have just sat at home and just planned for something and just like pre-produced whatever we wanted to do because people were working from home?
Yeah.
And weren't doing
it's yeah. To wait this long for this was I don't think the payoff was quite there, but I do have faith that it'll get better. So we'll just see how it goes. But I'm starting my first broadcast today, starting off with I believe CIS Division 2. Actually, I think it's CIS and then Europe. There's a Division 2 match of both of them. So really weird that we're starting off with Division 2. The big bang of the DPC is all Division 2 matches of all the regions, but
so the way that it works, especially because ESL and DreamHack are kind of like forming a big amalgamous blob, is that you're working both regions and both divisions. So are you technically going to be casting 4 different divisions over the next month or so?
Yeah, I don't know how much we're covering the lower division of CIS, but I think we're doing some of Europe. I to be honest, I don't entirely know. But yes, we are. So here's what we're doing. We're here in Sweden. We're here in DreamHack Studios. And on one day, I believe Mondays are CIS days. So on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I believe, I will go into the studio dressed up in a suit and a dress shirt, and I will do the professional ESL show. And then I will go home, take those clothes off, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and wear what is called smart casual. So maybe a button-up shirt, some jeans.
Smart.
Generally
I've
nice
never
looking.
heard smart casual before.
Yeah, that's a real term. Smart casual. And I will show up to do the European broadcast put on by DreamHack. Same studio, same desk, but I'm dressed differently, and it's more the DreamHack show, so more laid back, less professional, and you're just gonna alternate back and forth.
Are you gonna get whiplash?
I'm not convinced there's going to really be a defined separation when you have the same talent, just kind of like every other day switching back and forth. Like, we're gonna be wearing different clothes, but like I feel like after 5 weeks we're kind of putting on the same show.
But how long until the DreamHack? like how many days till you're like, hey everybody, we're in our casual clothes today. It's DreamHack, baby. You know what that means? Everybody get the soundboard out, hit the fart noises. Like, is that what?
I get, yeah. I mean, maybe it actually will be a big separation because every DreamHack day will just be we can relax sort of thing. We'll really just go off on the rails, whereas ESL will try and be a little bit more defined.
This is a serious
in our
DOTA
direction.
broadcast?
Yeah, this is a serious DOTA broadcast. Important things happening. I'll also be hosting a bit while I'm here, apparently. So that'll be a fun little stretch of my abilities. I haven't hosted in a while, so
I look forward to it. I'm happy that you're doing the EU stuff, not from anything of a friend perspective, but just because that's the one I'll be watching. So I
we'll
can
have something to talk about.
so I can genuinely talk to you about it. Without like having to watch two different leagues.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be able to talk about what actually happened on the broadcast.
How many people are spinning up shows right now that are like, hey guys, I got this great idea. We're gonna do a daily / weekly / whatever show where I'm gonna talk to you about all the DPC stuff.
Yes. I thought about doing that. In fact, way back in the day when the DPC was first being kind of rumored, I talked to BTS very early on, and I said, "Hey, so this thing's coming up. What if we work together to make a show around it? It could be a Twitch show that it also gets put into podcast form. I think you guys are good production." I'm a good talent to help lead this. Like, we can work together on this. And then obviously everything got delayed. And so I never really got to follow up with those ideas. But yeah, I wanted to do something like that. A bit harder when I'm actually doing the broadcast and I'm doing two different regions to get. I thought about like maybe I'll do a podcast, but yeah, I see a bunch of talent are trying to jump on that opportunity. The problem I have with this idea, Trent and Lyrical are going to be doing a daily show, which I think they've got the time and resources to be able to do. And then
I know Dan is doing a weekly show.
Dan will do a much, I think, better, more polished show of that, of weekly. And he's having, what I think was smart about Dan is that he's having a guest on for each region. So you're going to have people who are focused in their expertise and stuff. Problem I foresee is that I just don't think it'll be that interesting. To be like brutally honest, is that I think you actually want a much more casual show that is there for the entertainment and touches on the DPC. I think is what you want. I mean, at least that was my idea of it. I was like, I don't want to be going over fucking every single game that was happening in every single region because it's way too fucking much. I think I wanted a DPC show that was some friends hanging out, bullshitting, and then occasionally going over Twitch clips and briefly touching the results of each region.
Yeah, my thought
is the show.
My thought on that is like, what's the version of that show that lasts 10 minutes every week?
Yeah. Because
that might be something that I can see.
I was going to say an hour just because it's so many regions, but yeah, I agree.
But yeah, like, I mean, I was even talking directly to Dan about this, and I'm thinking, who is the market who wants to listen to people talk about every region? Or like do a really in-depth recap? Does that audience even exist? And I think the pessimistic side of me says, I don't think so. I don't think there's someone, at least, if I'm looking at my own Dota sphere and friends and people who really want to consume all that knowledge. They probably are going to follow a team or follow a region or maybe follow some broader overarching stories like, wow, can you believe how well Navi's doing? Or, dude, EG, can you believe they lost to like every fucking team? Like, those big overarching stories I think will touch a lot of people. But I don't know how many people want to be keeping up every day like it was a SportsCenter, ESPN thing. Yeah. I don't know how many of those people exist.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree with that. I think that there is just not the audience for that ambitious of a show like that. But we'll see how people do. I mean, if you want to put something together with us, I'm down to do some sort of recap show that is like real short and sweet. But if I had I think the dream scenario is, I mean, it's a little played out because nowadays, like 4 years ago, this was like people were just now like talking about like we should really do an inside the NBA version of esports. Like people were just touching on it. Nowadays, I feel like every tournament organizer, every content creator tries to tell me, we're just trying to do inside the NBA, but for esports. I feel like they all try and tell me that.
Before that, it was, let's do Sports Center for esports.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. But yes, I think like legitimately, I think you want that kind of vibe though for a DPC show. I don't think you want to tackle. What's funny is that I actually made this joke to Kyle just last night. We were playing Dota together. I was like, when you know who he play for inside the NBA, that segment where they do who he play for, where they go ahead and have Chuck, they give him a player and have him like try and figure out what team they're on, and he's always wrong. It's hilarious that he's a fucking professional analyst, and he's so wrong every single time about what team this player's on. I was like, we could do that with you, Kyle, but with like Dota mechanics. Because Kyle just doesn't play Dota anymore. He watches Dota, and he's still like a great analyst, but like he just doesn't play the game. So mechanically speaking, he's like so far fucking gone.
Give me I'll up it. Give me a 30-minute show that's inside the NBA-esque with 3 to 4 people who were all. I'm saying people who were way closer to probably the vibe we have than the vibe that Purge would have. I want people who are going to intentionally be a little bit silly and have a lot of levity.
The audience there for that is people tuning in for the show, not because they care about both North America and Southeast Asia Dota, and what exactly fucking tier 2 Southeast Asian team beat some other tier 2 Southeast Asian team, but also knows all about 4 Zoomers and I can't even list a team below 4 Zoomers.
Sad Boys?
I was trying. No, Sad Boys is like one of the top teams. So like I was trying to find a team that was like 4 Zoomers on the, they're like solidly 4th or 3rd place. I was trying to find like the 7th best team, but I don't even know. I don't know names of players or teams. So I couldn't come up with a fucking reference on the spot. But I'm a professional Dota analyst, and I can't fucking list that off the top of my head. That goes to show, like, the audience just is not there for people who are interested in that matchup.
I would love the bit where you get, like, Owen and you and Lyrical and, just name a bunch of other people and just say, okay, I'm going to give you a giant whiteboard and 60 seconds. And you have to write down as many teams that are in the DPC in any region as possible. And see who can rattle off the most teams. Because everyone's like, okay, I got this. We got EG and 4 Zoomers and Sad Boys and Quincy Crew and Liquid and, they get all of, like, the top 4 in each region pretty easily. And then everyone goes, fuck.
No, I mean, as talent, we do this to each other all the time. It's like sometimes it'll be actually on panel, which makes it funnier to us. But it's also kind of BM. But it's the whole listed listed team name. Give me like 3 players on that team. Like go ahead, Hellraisers. Just list a player on that team. Go ahead, fucking do it. I dare you. And more often than not, people will not be able to list more than like 1 or 2, because it's just like it's a lot of teams and a lot of players across a lot of regions. All like the time zones are just not so. Like I don't know the 7th best team in North America because I also don't know the 7th best team in Southeast Asia because I'm trying to follow all the regions. So I really only care about the top 3 or 4. Like I don't have the time to be able to know the intricacies of the tier 2 scenes of all the regions because I'm trying to get the tier 1 of all the regions down. So, yeah.
Oh, shit. I'm interested in if anyone's going to have a successful show that it gets put together. and how that gets co-opted by any network. Because I presume in a world where people have more time to plan, like BTS or ESL would want to even do a show like that, but probably not in this time frame. Probably not right now. Maybe season 2.
Yeah, especially when they're already being a tournament organizer. Like BTS is like one of the go-to, right? Because they have a studio, they've got funny people, they've got beam people who like come up with good ideas and shit. But then they're also a tournament organizer now, so they got to focus on being a tournament organizer before being a content creator.
Man.
So,
I really like the dichotomy of you being in Sweden and being in the morning, and me, still in Los Angeles, and you're having coffee, I'm having a seltzer, and that's the extent of the relationship now.
I mean, I'm in fucking Sweden, so the lighting is probably close to the same. It looks like it's fucking like 6 p.m. outside.
Oh shit!
Even though it's 10 a.m., it is real dark and gloomy out there.
Before I let you go, get ready for what's going to be the kickoff day of the future of Dota, the beginning of the DPC, right? I played a Carry Omni Night game.
Oh yeah, how'd it go? Huh?
I had fun, but I didn't have silly fun. So I forget exactly what you were telling me to do, but what I did do is I went phase, I went Sage and Kaya.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my shard so I can start hitting people around the same time that I got like a little after 20 minutes. Some pain points that existed. Telling my team that I was a one position Omni Knight. That was a pain point. I think that
no, started, I'm not 5. I'm 1. I'm 1.
that started the relationship off rocky, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I think I felt super tanky. I just had fun running at people. I love the way Degen Aura works in general, just because I like seeing people be slow and annoying. I feel like I wanted something to add CDR to my new skill. Like it felt like it was on cooldown just a little bit too much to be memey. Probably the right amount to be good and effective, but like not quick enough to be memey, because it was still every like 4 to 5 hits when I was getting that pure damage and really like chunking people. So I wasn't quite sold on it, but it did feel really strong and viable. But I think I might have had expectations of it being something sillier, like I was going to walk in and play like Ags, Mjolnir's Row and be like Lightning Fairy. But instead I was just like, oh, I feel like this tanky pure damage boy.
Yeah. No. I see what you mean. Like the best silliness that comes from it is the fact that you just stay alive forever and you just like keep on hitting people and they're like trying to ignore you because they can't kill you. Like that is the extent of the silliness. As far as Dota terms, that's like pretty light on the scale of silliness. But you're also talking to me, and I'm only going to give you viable shit to do.
I went back and
you should try the Winter Wyvern thing though.
Okay, I will try that.
That is also viable, but I feel like it's a little bit sillier.
I went back after and ended up getting a Radiance, which I don't know if that was a worthwhile thing to do, because it felt like I got it late, but it made me that much more annoying to just sit in the middle of fights and be like, hey, I'm hitting you.
Yep.
And I'm burning everyone. I never feel good about a Radiance that happens after like 22-ish minutes, but it felt like an okay choice here.
No, I think you could definitely go. I think Radiance is good with that build, no doubt. I just was trying builds that weren't Radiance to feel like, to see how good just that ability was. But I think if you're gonna go Radiance, you probably build it first, phase Radiance, and then into Sanjkaya or Yashakaya.
And then what did you get after like Yashakaya? What were you building?
I went Heart because your your ability is based off of your base damage. So I was trying to give myself as much raw strength as possible to see how high that number could go and how good I would feel about it. So I went hard. I tried Scotty as well because that gives you some strength as well as even more chasing power. Like you hit somebody and they have degen aura and they're getting Scottied, they don't go anywhere. They're just like, all right, this is I'm here. They're not going to run away. They're going to turn around and fight you because they've got nothing else to do.
I'll have to try it a couple more times. I think maybe next time Scotty seems silly. Maybe I'm into Scotty, but man, I love building hard. Maybe I'll
felt
skip Radiance.
Orb of Corrosion originally. Phase Boots Orb of Corrosion. That felt really good. Similar thing. It's
even
just
more slow.
You can have that you can have that at 13 minutes instead of 35.
Well, next time I find a team that allows me to do that, I'm gonna keep on trying to push that through, and then I will.
Yeah, dude, just tell them you saw BSJ do it. Promo code BSJ.
I think that I'm still bracketed low enough to where people might go, "What?
Who?
What? Is that a person?
What is a BSJ? What does that stand for?
I'm gonna give you a BSJ if you don't buy wards." I don't know, man. Well, shit. You and your beautiful apartment with your Switch that looks like it has little handles on it.
Yes,
the Switch Lite.
It does. If you have a Switch, get some of those. Ari Neiman was the first person who showed me that. Hey, dude, Switches are not built to be held for more than an hour. They're just not. It's not whatever that word is.
Ergonomic.
It is not ergonomic in any way. So, but buy yourself a case that gives you handles that your palm of your hand can wrap around instead of the hard edge of a Switch.
One more thing before I actually do say goodbye. I've been staring at this plate of fruit behind you for like the last hour. Is that like a banana, a zucchini, and a red pepper? Because
Let's go check.
He's now getting up and actually going to look at what's behind him. I'm hoping that it's a tomato and not a red pepper, because a red pepper just seems more weird.
Sweden likes their peppers. You want to know why? Because bell peppers are like it is a bell pepper. Bell peppers give you like the illusion of spice while being very bland, which is like exactly what sweetified food is. I swear to God, the food here has no soul. That's what I was telling. That's what I was telling the other talent. I was like, whenever I come to Sweden, I have food here. It's not bad. It just doesn't feel like it makes me feel anything. It's sweetified food. This is a real term. Sweetified food. It just means that they've toned down everything. What you know what it tells me? They gave me a paper on this. This is my DPC paper. Here's what it says. The food quality is excellent. Most takeout places might have sweetified their food, which means it will not be too spicy nor too bland. Okay, first of all, I have an issue with the idea that what food is trying to be bland?
Nothing.
Like, what cuisine out there is like, yes,
crackers.
very good. That was very bland. I hardly tasted anything at all. Like sweetified food is like coming. They're like, this cuisine, very nice, but a bit too bland. Let's go ahead and spice it up a little bit. So I object to that idea that sweetified food is tempering both the highs and lows and meeting a nice middle ground. That's not what it does at all. All sweetified food does is take other cuisine that actually has some sort of kick, something in it. Doesn't necessarily have to be spicy, but some sort of like contrast of flavors or something that was really strong and unique. It just makes it bland. That's all sweetified food is. They take the soul out of other foods, drain it, suck it dry, and spit back this like fucking. It's just kind of like It's okay,
I heard when you go to Sweden, you're supposed to get just kebab pizza, and that's like it.
Yeah, but I've been I was in Germany for like 3 years. I had kebab last night. It was like, again, it was probably the best food I've had so far, from this trip in Sweden anyway. And it was just kind of like, yeah. Germany is full of Turkish people, so the great kebab there. Here, just again, same thing. The spicy sauce that I got, yeah. I guess it was spicy. I guess it was supposed to. I don't know, man. It just bothers me. Bothers me.
I like the idea.
Again,
Next time you travel,
it's not bad, but it's just, yes. I've got so bell pepper, cucumber. Okay, so this is for Friday night.
It's individually wrapped. It's pre-condomed.
Yes, it is. You got to be safe. Oranges, kiwi, apple, banana.
You got a real
couple of chocolates. Let me just say, ESL / DreamHack did not set us up with the most amazing. This is what they left me. This fruit bowl. And they're like, okay, survive.
Have I ever told you that I don't really eat fruit?
Yeah, I've talked about that. Yeah. That disturbs me. If you don't eat vegetables, I understand, but like fruit, it's nature's candy.
But we have real candy now. This double chin doesn't make itself, dude. So, I mean, fuck. Speaking of being fat, my birthday was yesterday, which isn't a way that I just want. I know I like bait you into saying that by saying that's not what I wanted.
I did not know it was your birthday.
Thank you. That's fine. I'm 28 now. I met my parents, have new neighbors that are moving in, and they said, "Oh, so you're in your late 20s," and I'm like, "Yep."
You son of a bitch.
Nice to meet you too. I love my friends. I'm very blessed to just have like a plethora of like really awesome people in my life. And on my birthday, this is I guess my first COVID birthday. Since I didn't really have a proper COVID birthday last year. I beat out the pandemic, at least in America. And they just brought a bunch of stuff over for me because we weren't having like a party. So someone brought an entire bundt cake. Someone brought an entire pie. Someone brought 2 pints of ice cream. Someone bought 2 mini pies. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, fuck, I really need to do something about the aforementioned double chin situation. And I think that I might have pigeonholed myself into being the person who just has a lot of sweet food preferences for desserts, because people's go-to gifts weren't like, man, I'm gonna get Joey a game on his Steam wish list, which some people did. Thank you, Conrad. But all of my friends came and just dropped off food.
Just gave you food.
To varying degrees of success, because I wasn't actually around on Saturday for a moment. I went out to go get myself a pastry.
I'm going to treat myself.
Which just compounded the problem, right? Well, my boss, whose birthday is a week before mine, I got him a whole pie. As a thank you. Also, if you have the proper relationship, strongly recommend birthday gifts for people who are your supervisors, because you want them to like you. It's just a political thing. Sometimes you can buy friendship. It's the takeaway. He was kind enough to repay the gift and also give me a pie for my birthday from the same place. But he left it outside my apartment. And the way that my apartment building is, which it's wild that I actually moved here. You've never actually been here, Austin, still, because fucking COVID. The way my apartment building is that my landlord's front door is right next to the main gate of the apartment building, and the steps up to the front gate of the apartment building, I'm probably doxing myself, have like a split where you can just go straight to their door instead of going inside. instead of leaving the pie by like the main gate and the call box and everything, he left it on my landlord's door, thinking that it was potentially mine. First mistake was that I don't have the expensive apartment here. There's no way that my front door is like to the world. But alas, he tells me like, hey, go outside, I left you something. And I wasn't able to get it for like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm like, fuck, there's nothing here. And then I'm going around, I'm like looking in the bushes, I'm seeing something that's hidden. I'm like, am I going to have to tell him that like someone stole this gift? I go inside, I'm like, hey,
pirate came through and took your birthday present?
Yeah. I'm going to go inside and be like, hey, Nick, did you grab anything? He's like, nope. And I'm like, fuck. So I go back outside and I do more investigating to try and find where this pie was left off. And then I realize that, maybe my landlord took it. Maybe the person who owns the building took the pie. So I sent them a text message. She's a nice older lady named Meryl, or Merle, but I call her Meryl, which is rude because that's not her name. But I think about the Metal Gear character. Her name's Merle. And I'm like, hey, did you happen to get a pie dropped off by your door? And then I don't get a response. And then 3 minutes later, I get a knock on my door. And it's Merle's husband. And he's like, hey, Joey. And he's holding the box that has the pie in it. And I'm like, great. I'm glad we solved this. I'm really glad that you picked it up and it wasn't stolen. He's like, yeah. So the pie, when it arrived, it had the name John on it. And no one who lives here's name was John. So we were confused and took it in. And naturally, the first thing that we did is we just tried it. So we ate a bunch of the pie. And I'm like, oh, that's totally cool. I can't eat the whole thing myself. Do you want any more? Like, did you like it? And they're like, it was a little too sweet, but we feel really bad that we ate your pie for your birthday. And I'm like, Barry, it's a good story. It's totally fine. I'm glad that you had to try some pie that was too sweet for you. He's like, I'm really sorry, Joe. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's
now
fine.
your landlord owes you. That's a good position to be in.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm late on rent. Well, you ate my fucking birthday pie, you son of a bitch.
I'll make sure to pull that one out next time I need to hold something over their head. I'll be like, yeah, remember that one time that you ate my birthday gift? Anywho, so I'm trying to, today I drove around and I broke up the pie and the cake and other stuff and just started dropping it off to people. And I'm like, here, I can't eat all this. Do you want some pie?
Dude, I want some so badly. Ellie sent me pictures of donuts. Like, I'm trying to be good here. I think it's a good opportunity for me to lose some weight like I did with Omega League. So I'm restarting, okay, yoga, exercise, not eating a whole lot. For whatever reason, I did pretty well in Ukraine, but I've yet to find any food that really hits the spot here in Sweden. So I'm just craving sweets like a fucking madman. So give me your food, Joey. Give it to me.
I'm going to go over to your place and eat those cream puffs. I'm going to go test out of there.
Dude, Ellie made cream puffs. They look so good. Oh, my God.
Be like, hey, Ellie, it's my birthday. Can I have some cream puffs? I haven't gotten enough sweets yet. God. Well, on that note, see you next week.
Nice.
I also just cut the podcast.
I'll still be here.
Have a good broadcast, Cap. Happy first day of school.